You're about to hear a soul-centered conversation that speaks directly to the heart of so many entrepreneurs that I know. My friend Colin Yearwood and I dive into the tension between being a self-employed contracted versus a traditional business owner. Colin has spent nearly a decade serving clients inside of other people's coaching programs, doing work that he loves. And yet, he's been wrestling with whether or not his business is legit by conventional standards. If you've ever carried any sort of guilt for not building a big team and scaling your brand or doing all the things that all these business books tell you that you should be doing, I invite you to lean into this conversation. We challenge the belief that control equals success. And I offer a new definition that is rooted in peace, joy, and alignment. This conversation is a permission slip to love your life and your business exactly as it is. And before we begin, I want to give you a quick reminder that the next Free the Dream workshop is coming up on Friday and Saturday, August 29th and 30th, 2025. It's a 2-day in-person experience to help you clear the noise, uncover what's next in your life, and remember the part of you that's still waiting to be lived. I'm going to share more about that at the end of the episode, but for now, let's dive in. Colin, it has been way too long, my friend. How are you?
It has been, and I am doing okay. I'm doing okay.
You're doing okay. Okay, well, let's talk about that. Are you ready to dig in?
I'm ready to dig in. Ready to dig in. Before we get started, I did see yesterday's call. I said I'm going to jump on, but I thought it was 1:00, and then I saw your second email. I'm like, oh, it's finished. So,
well, you are here today. That's all that matters. I asked you, how are things going? And you said, I'm okay. And that's a little unique. You and I, Colin, have had so many conversations over the years, so I can tell there are some things going on in your world. How can I be of service to you today?
Couple things. Yeah, let me share. Actually, what I wanted to say, I'll run this by Cliff. So you've been familiar with me for many years. Over the last 9 or 10 months or so, I'm figuring out a shift in how I do. A shift in what I'm doing. Right? The question has come up: am I running a business or am I just running a self-employed gig? So that's the thing I've been pondering and trying to become comfortable with it, with that idea.
Okay, so let me tell you what I heard. Over the last 9 to 10 months, you have experienced some sort of shift in the way that you're approaching your work. Lately, there's been some sort of internal dialogue. What do I got going on over here? Do I own a business or am I just a self-employed gig guy? And I'm trying to find some peace with that. That's what I've heard. Is that what you just said?
Yeah, I am trying to find some peace with that.
Well, then let me ask you this. What do you got going on over there? Do you own a business or are you running some sort of self-employed gig? And is it possible that both are true?
It is possible that both are true, but it goes against what I thought I wanted to create.
Okay, let's go into that. So tell me what it is you thought you wanted to create.
When I started out, I thought I wanted to build a business where I do all the things. I build a brand that attracts the type of clients I want to work with and help them create the kind of results that they want to create through coaching and mentorship and consulting. Those are the kind of things I've done over the years. That's what I thought I wanted to do. I've ended up doing those things without building a personal brand per se, and doing all the marketing.
Okay. So, what I heard is when I started out this business journey, I had a desire to do all of the things, to show up and find clients, to serve clients, to perform in such a way that they are able to reach their goals and aspirations for which they desired or made an agreement to work with me. And that's how I've been living my life. I have been living that desired outcome. But now all of a sudden, there seems to be some sort of conflict about how I'm evaluating what I've built. And it seems like there might be, I'm sensing a bit of dissatisfaction or discomfort with the fact that maybe it should be something different than it is. Is that what I'm picking up on?
I think I've projected it to be something different than it is in my mind, but what it has been, for me, most of my income of 8 years of being self-employed have come from me working in other people's coaching programs, selling their coaching programs.
Okay, so this does bring more nuance, and it reminds me of prior conversations. So what I have heard in the past, one of the things that I know about you, and tell me if I'm remembering correctly, you have had a history of involving yourself in selling other people's coaching programs and earning commissions on those sales. Is that correct?
Yep,
All
that's
right.
correct.
And you were doing that self-employed as contract work to them. You were not their employee. So this wasn't a quote unquote day job. Is that correct?
Correct. I've always been 1099 on that.
Excellent. And so you've been doing that, and have you enjoyed doing that?
I've enjoyed doing it. I've enjoyed it so much too. I teach sales in a different way. I look at sales as a person development exercise. At least learning how to sell as a person development exercise. I've developed some frameworks around that to support myself and how I show up in those roles. And I've trained that out to other people. And I love selling. I love selling good things to people that need it.
So this is the work that you've been doing. You've been self-employed for years. You've enjoyed it. It sounds like, in using the language that you just shared, that you're still enjoying that work. Yes?
Yes, I absolutely do. Yeah.
All right. So I still sense that I'm trying to be comfortable with that. So what is it that is that you're trying to bring yourself to a level of comfort with?
So there's some uncertainty in what I do, meaning I do sales to other people, but I would work with one person for a year or 2 years and it goes away. And then I get another referral or someone introduce someone to me and I work with another person. So there's always that little ebb and flow of lack of control. I think it's lack of control of my own income or my own opportunities. Um, because the people I work with, they change their models and I got to move on and find the next thing. But I've been blessed to find the next thing. So I think that causes a little bit uncertainty there from time to time.
Interesting. So there are two different dynamics of what I'm picking up on as far as what you're facing. One is that, wow, I'm self-employed, and the way that things have gone is I will get a contract, I will get a client, I will have the opportunity to work for them, I will get great results or whatever. But given the fact that maybe I only have one or only a small number of clients, and potentially, maybe by your own experience, a significant portion or an overwhelming percentage of your income is tied to one particular client, and then things change. People pivot business models. They go in a different direction, and then all of a sudden, you no longer have that work anymore, and that is perceived as a lack of certainty about your financial future, because more than one time in the past, you've had this routine expectation that things are somehow permanent. And a client that's working with you today obviously should work with you forever. I know we can get into that mindset, but you've had more than one experience where your perceived income for the next year is all of a sudden going to wrap up within the next couple of weeks or a couple of days or a couple of months, and now you need to go find something else. And man, and what I pick up on is that you are sensing, I wish I had more control over the future certainty and assurance of my income.
That is it. But as hearing you say that, it makes me smile because I can have that certainty by getting a traditional job, right?
Well,
But that is not.
that is one belief that one could carry with them as they go and get a job as an employee. That could be just as much of an illusion as the idea that you get this next big client and they're going to be your client for the next 4 or 5 years. They're going to be your gravy train. The reality is there is as much certainty that the day job that you get a job with, there's as much certainty that that's going to be your certain assured income for the next 5 years of your life as any self-employed person.
Yeah, yeah. It is true. But I like the level of control I have of my time. Even when I do this, I can regulate my schedule. I have different control of my time, but also not having that certainty and just owning up to it. I think I've made a decent living. I get to do work I love. I get to work with people I enjoy. I feel tremendously blessed to wake up and have a calendar with coaching clients, and because I coach some of the clients that I enroll, I coach them for a fee for these people I enroll them for. So I feel blessed to be able to do that. But also there is like just owning up to it. Okay, this is what business look like for you. Is not that you have to, and it's okay. You don't have to go out and do all the enrollment and all the other stuff on your own. So just being okay with that idea.
Being okay with the idea. What part of you has not been okay with the idea? And what is it? Explain to me what you mean, not responsible for your own enrollment. Because what I hear is you've been very blessed to have referrals to a client who hires you, where they have, in my understanding, high ticket offers, and you are working to take people who are leads, who are expressing interest in those high ticket offers, and you get on the phone and you make that sale, and each time you make a sale, you get a commission and stuff like that. And even when in the past somebody who has been consistently a great client for you and you've been getting great results, even those people sometimes will have a pivot and that will come to a close. It will wind down. Nothing in this world is permanent, by the way. And so then you've been very blessed by your own admission that another referral will come along and there's another client and you show up and do it in the same way. So where is this? I need to get more comfortable that I'm not responsible for my own enrollment. Explain to me more about what's going on in your mind there. I'm trying to understand what that means.
I think it was what I mean by that when I started this out back in 2016. I thought this was temporary and thought that building a business mean I build the business. Potentially, I'm the person hiring the closer or the salesperson. Potentially, I'm the person hiring the coach to coach within my program. I think that's the idea I had in my head over the years. And then in around 2021, 2022, I started realizing, that's not been happening. But I still have been getting to do the things that I enjoy doing. Maybe that's not the way it's meant to be for me.
Oh, there could be a lot to be said in a conversation about maybe that's not the way it's meant to be for me. But let's stay on the topic of what you did introduce. And I thought that was where you were going when you said, oh my gosh, I'm trying to contemplate in this season of my life now that, after doing all of these things, I'm at a place where I'm actually trying to contemplate, do I have a business or do I just have a self-employed job? And so I want to give that question a label, and I'm pretty sure you're familiar with this terminology, false dichotomy. And I'm quite aware of this false dichotomy. It is very prevalent in the world that you and I live in, this entrepreneurial online space of business owners. There are books out there, E-Myth by Michael E. Gerber. There's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And there are countless other books that have come out since then that seem to state, and I've heard word for word over and over and over again, that if you are required to show up and do work in your business, you do not have a business, you have a job. You just happen to be self-employed. And what I can tell is that your question seems to be along the lines of, and it's prompted by this idea that, oh my gosh, I'm trying to come to grips with the idea that I once had a desire to start a business that could operate without me, but here I am further down the road, and now I recognize I don't have a business. I'm just self-employed. And I'm trying to find some level of comfort with that. Is that what I'm picking up?
Absolutely. Nailed it. That's it.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
I want you to tell me true or false. If one is required to show up consistently and do work in their business, then they don't own a business. True or false?
That's false.
Okay. Do you see how your very first question is, man, I'm trying to come to grips with the fact, with the realization that, man, I have to evaluate. I either own a business or I own a self-employed job. And I have a self-employed job, and I'm trying to come. Do you see that this? I have to find some way of coming to comfort with that idea, because somewhere along the lines, I heard somebody say that if I'm required to work in my business, I don't own a business. So therefore, I'm not a business owner. I'm just a self-employed, contracted worker. I'll tell you what, the IRS sees you as a business.
Yes, it does. They do.
Yeah. And you know what? And don't get me wrong. I mean, I've seen those books and I've been influenced by those books. I've been influenced by those people at certain levels. And there have been many times that I have been tempted and sometimes gave into the temptation to feel a bit of guilt, shame, and disappointment in my own journey because I'm not being as responsible as a steward of life in such a way that when I have all of the abilities and all of the things and all the resources, I could create a business where my money's working for me and I hire all these other people and blah, 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 as if that's some high and mighty, holier way of living life. That this is the ultimate goal. Like this is the standard by which we consider to be successful. And you know what I say about that? Bullshit. I call it what it is. Anybody who sits and has this high and mighty idea that I am better, I am more successful, I am more responsible because my business can operate without me there, and that makes me a better person in anyone's eyes, well, guess what? Their success is dependent upon a bunch of unsuccessful people being their employees. It's called slavery. Anyway.
Interesting take.
Huh?
I think it's an interesting take. For me, I feel one of the things I lean on a lot is I feel very grateful to be doing what I want to do.
Before I go on, let me just pull this quote up here. This is Jonathan Slater. He says, Paul Jarvis wrote a book called Company of One. There's more approaches to owning a business and still have the life you want. Jonathan, thank you for that quote. Love, 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 love that. It is. I have not yet read that book, but I've heard lots about it, and eventually maybe one day I'll read it. But I'm very familiar with the concept because, Colin, I'm a business of one. Technically, I'm a business of two. My wife's my business partner, and we do much together. But you get the idea. I have had the opportunity when I did Podcast Answer Man, I had successfully helped more than 40,000 people in the world launch a podcast. I was helping 20 to 40 students at a time in my podcasting A to Z course. I had so many technical questions that at one point I hired a couple contracted workers to come in and begin answering some of the more mundane, super easy technical questions. Even doing some troubleshooting, jumping on a call with somebody on a Zoom and try to help them troubleshoot a technical issue. And so I had every opportunity to build a team. I had actually had a seasoned set of contracted workers who were helping me, who had all of the skills. It was there. And then at one point, I personally got absolutely bored to tears with that side of my business. And I decided to shut down 100% of all income streams related to anything to teaching people the technical aspects of podcasting. And many well-meaning people in my life said, Cliff, that's ridiculous. Why don't you just hire some people to do all of that for you? Why don't you hire somebody to keep your tutorials up to date? Why don't you hire somebody else to market the next course? This is an income generating machine. You could continue to make $1 million a year every year. You've got this. Why would you shut all of that down? And I simply said, because I have zero desire to manage that team of people. I know I have all the skills. I know I have the experience. I know I could pull that off. It's not what I want to use any percentage of my day doing. And they couldn't understand that, except for a handful of people. A handful of people understood it and encouraged me, but a majority did not. Because they were bought into this idea that, Cliff, true success, true responsibility, true stewardship is to take everything you can do. If you can do it, you must. I've heard so many different phrases like that. And again, I was tempted to feel a level of guilt or shame by not living up to this idea that others have presented, that this is what real business is. This is what real business people decide. And here's where I came to, and what helped me break free from all of that and every other judgment out there, and that is that those standards, those statements, they're all just made up. And the interesting thing for me, Colin, is I know many people who have teams of employees, anywhere between 6 to 10, all the way up to 100 plus employees. And quite frankly, they never need to show up in their business. They live that life and you know what? Some of those people are absolutely miserable and bored. And it doesn't guarantee this. Now, don't get me wrong. I know there's several people. I know at least a dozen people who are in that position, and they live the lives that seem to be absolutely filled with peace and fulfillment. And it is exactly like the fairy tale picture of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, E-Myth, and all the other books. But what I discovered is how we feel in life and what we feel as fulfillment and abundance and success and all of that other stuff, the business model is not what determines that. It's living in alignment with what we desire to create, not what we should create. But what makes my soul sing? How do I feel called to be in this world? I'm interested to learn, where are you in here's what I hear. It's like I had this original idea. I was going to build a business. People are going to work for me. And it was just going to generate me, it's going to be a cash machine. And it's kind of like this business is my ATM to fund all of my personal pleasures and my contribution and giving to the world. It's like this business is my ATM machine is the metaphor that I would give it. But now it's like, I got in here and I realize I'm not building that team. I'm not operating that. I'm not going out and marketing and filling up everything. And I'm self-employed. And I typically have 1 or 2 or 3 employees or 1099 contracts at a time. And man, do I enjoy what I'm doing. And boy, I'm trying to feel comfortable about the fact that I love my life.
Yeah, it's one of those that I think a lot of it is the dream I sold myself, or I was sold by the internet marketing thing, and I was tied up in that for a while. As I get and also to that desire, I think that desire to have some go back to some level of control. But I've been tremendously blessed to be honest. But I worked for a few people over the last 8 years doing sales, doing coaching, and I get to do what I want to do. But leaning into more of that, focusing on like today was one of those days. I woke up and I was walking. I was just thinking, man, I'm lucky. I have 3 coaching calls this afternoon. I got to jump on when I know of 10 minutes. 3 coaching calls this afternoon, and I had didn't have to. I someone enrolled them, put them on my calendar. I get to show up and serve them and do the thing I really enjoy doing. That's just living into that. That is okay. That is not how I envision it to be, but that is okay. I'm compensated well for it, and I get to make a difference in those people's lives. But it's just moving away from that idea of this is what business should look like, right?
Yeah, and
Being comfortable with it.
And who gets to determine what your business should look like? I'd like to ask you that question before we leave. Who gets to determine that?
You asked all the softball questions, Cliff. I actually get to determine that. Once I get out of my head and become present with me, what is it I desire in my life? What is it that how I want to show up? As you mentioned, right? I get to be the decision making what my business looks like. And I appreciate the recommendation for the book Company of One. That should be a good read for me. I know the other thing too, I think also is me having some structure within that self owning my own job, having a little bit more structure on the finance side may make it into more of a business for me. I one of the reasons I admire you, like I know I've been on your other podcast, your paid podcast for a while. I admire how you've built business with you and your wife, right? It's not a big conglomerate, but a business that serves people, serves you. So I've always admired that about you.
Yeah. Well, I love it. I would encourage you just to evaluate that thing that you had bought into, this idea that business should be any other way than what my soul desires to be in the world. And once you get clear about what your soul wants, and you recognize that comparing yourself to other people's ideas of success is a unworthy pursuit, I think you'll find that comfort. You'll find that peace that you're looking for. And I know that you're getting ready to jump into another coaching call, so I'll quickly wrap this up. But I will say that if you ever want to talk about this other topic at some point in the future, this idea that you can control anything is an illusory. It's an illusion. It is an illusory journey. It will elude you. It's elusive. The idea that you can control it all. Life is full of uncertainty, and anything that you feel is certain is nothing more than your predictive ideas of the future based upon your experiences of the past. And I can tell you right now, I know lots of people who have had years and years and years of milk and honey, and I've seen a number of different things that, things are beyond our control. Things are not permanent. Things don't always work out, and not that we shouldn't do our best to make the best of every situation and circumstance and have desires in our hearts and go think, but there's an issue of attachment to I must have control, and that brings about suffering. A desire to control as much as is within my control, to control the things that I can control, and ironically, do enough evaluation, you'll find out how many things are outside of your control, but control the things you can. It's okay to have dreams. It's okay to have goals. But when we start to attach ourselves to, I must do this, and if things happen outside of what I had desired, outside of the things that I tried to control, I did all the things, blah, 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 but this still happened. Eventually, if we have too much attachment to the desired outcome, we have too much attachment to I need to control this, it just invites suffering in our life.
I'm looking at the hierarchy image on my wall here, and I see where that suffering is.
Yep.
On that. Cliff, it's always good to chat with you. It's
Colin,
again.
Thank you for being my first guest on today's live stream. It's always a pleasure. I know we'll chat again soon, and I hope you have an amazing coaching session. I know that you will.
I'm jazzed even more now.
All right. See ya. What a powerful conversation. If you found yourself nodding along or maybe questioning some of your long-held beliefs, you're not alone. You see, the pressure to quote-unquote build a real business often comes from someone else's playbook. But I have discovered and have witnessed for myself in the lives of so many other people, peace comes from aligning with what you know to be true about yourself and what you and only you know you are here to create in this world. Here's what I hope you'll take with you from this conversation. You don't need to scale to be successful. Control, it's an illusion. And presence is where peace lives. Fulfillment is the ultimate metric, and you get to define your fulfillment. And if you have been in a season yourself of reevaluating what your next chapter is, I invite you to take a break from your day in and day out routine. Get out of the same environment that you've been in and clear yourself from all of the noise. The Free the Dream Workshop is a 2-day event that's there to help you uncover what's next in your life, to help you remember who you are and why you are here, not based upon other people's expectations, not what other people think you should be doing, and not what you think you should do based upon what you believe other people would approve of, but to really get authentically clear about who you are and what you most want to create in this world. If there's still a part of you that's still waiting to be lived, freethedreamworkshop.com. Head over there today. There's only 50 spots available. One very important thing, this is the first time my wife Stephanie and I have decided to give this a trial run. This is a pay what you want event. And there is no minimum. Technically speaking, you could go to freethedreamworkshop.com and register and attend this workshop for free, if that's what you desire. And there would be no judgment. Nobody's going to know when you come here how much you paid, other than my wife and myself, and we have no judgment. We are more concerned about having you here and serving you. Head over to freethedreamworkshop.com. Thanks for listening, and I will see you in the next one.